Okay, family, are we rolling? Got my high-tech production studio equipment here, a compost bin on top of a cardboard box, and my phone sitting in it. Just wanted to do a little update on a video I did, I don't know how many days or maybe a week or, I don't know, it was something having to do with Tyrannical TelCel Communications, blah blah blah, something or other. I'll see if I can just call this a part 2. Yeah? Alright. Now, bear with me if you're Mexican or if in some way this seems completely normal to you, but I'm just gonna, just from my perspective of whether I'm from this country or that country, I don't know, it does, to me it doesn't matter. I'm like just applying the 5-year-old logic, and that's pretty much universal regardless of whatever imaginary lines you want to draw on a border and say that it's this country versus that country. I just think that's just too, it's not simple. So if it's not simple, it's usually convoluted on purpose. So part 2 to the this is, I'm just gonna throw this out there, and I don't know, maybe it's just me. Is this seem normal? Okay, here's a recap. I'll be as brief as possible. So there was this advertisement in the TelCel, which is, TelCel would be like AT&T or Sprint or T-Mobile, or I don't know all the names of different telecommunications and companies, depends on which country you're in, but here in Mexico we call it TelCel, and it's the one and only game in the market. There are absolutely no competitors, right? So you go and get your TelCel service, you top up your phone, for the service, and then they whether they provide the service or not, it doesn't matter. At the end of your 30 days, you have to top up again. So in my case, like, the service was out like 60% of the time, and when there's no cell phone service, there's no data service. So if you have to go online to do whatever, fill in the blank, you can't, right? So you have to get up, go get in your car, drive into town, find a Wi-Fi hotspot. Usually that involves buying a sandwich or a drink or something, and spending quite a lot of money in the cafes and stuff. So I thought, for as much money as I'm spending in the cafes, if it's possible, I could just put a router in my house and pick up a Wi-Fi signal that way. And then I can always just switch the router off when it's not in use, so I don't pollute the frequencies inside my house too much. So TelCel offered this plan where, well, it wasn't a plan per se, it was a service, but it could be tied to a plan, kind of like if you are in the market for a new cell phone. If you want to just buy a cell phone directly from the vendor and not go through the service provider, that's your phone, right? But if you want to buy a phone through the service provider and tied to a contract, and your payments are spread out over time to pay for not just the service, but also the equipment that you're buying on lease, or like you're buying it with installments, right? So let's first be clear let's draw a line of delineation, and this is just basic commercial contract law, like this is 5-year-old common sense even. If you have a service, the person is paying for the service. There is no commitment. There is no, like, let's just say one day, hypothetically, I move from that house and I don't need to put that Wi-Fi service in my house anymore because maybe I'm living somewhere else and they have a different service. But, you know, if I was to buy the router now, that would be a different story. So if I went in there and bought their $5 router, which they charge something like $250 for, but I didn't have the $250 to pay for the router, so I said, let me just buy the router and I'll pay you in installments of, I don't know, fill in the blank, $25 a month for 10 months, or maybe it'll be 12 months with interest. Just, I don't know. Well, I did not buy the router from them on a lease or in conjunction with the contract for service, rather. With the contract services here, the router is now my personal property. Excuse me, just like my phone. My phone is my personal property, and the service that I pay for is the service that my phone uses. I hope that makes sense, right? I don't want to break that down too much. That's pretty logical, right? Oh no. Oh no. So, as I mentioned in my previous video, I'll just quickly rehash it, is I bought the router, so there is no contract. I am in no way whatsoever bound or contractually required to pay for a monthly service. I will pay for the service when I want it, and if I don't want it anymore, I won't pay for it. But you see, just like they mix up the terms promissory note and contract for sale of a piece of real estate, they also convolute the matter of service versus contract, service associated with the contract. And, well, long story short, as it was the usual 60% downtime for the service, for the Wi-Fi service at home. But wait, even better, it was a complete and utter soul harvest. When I say soul harvest, I mean I had a part-time job working for free as a slave for TelCel, just trying to figure out how to top up my service that I'm not getting 60% of the time. Hang on now, I'm trying not to get all, but I just can't help but point out stupid and just, like, I don't know. Is it just me? I don't know. Well, anyhow, but wait. Yeah, because literally I had to pay facilitators thousands of pesos to sit with me on the phone with the TelCel people for hours to try to figure out how in the hell I can top up my service at the end of the 30-day period. They would shut my service off at home, and I had to go back into the Wi-Fi cafe, plus find a facilitator to pick up the phone and navigate through 27 minutes minimum. I mean minimum. That's a Mexican person who speaks fluent Spanish on the phone for 27 minutes, pressing all kinds of numbers and options to navigate through a barrage of artificial intelligence bots. Press this for this, and press that for that, and press star to return to the main menu. And literally the facilitators that were helping me do this were pulling their hair out, and I'm paying them to do it. That's the level of frustration, just to give you an idea. I was able twice, with a minimum of an hour's facilitator's assistance and much effort, to get the to get the Wi-Fi router service at home topped up. Twice, only twice. No invoices, no facturas, no billing statements, no email notification, no text message notification, nothing. There was no instructions in the paperwork, and nobody explained to me when they sold me this service. Not one peep from anyone or anything anywhere at any time how to pay my bill. I just presumed I could take the number and top up in the store like I do with my phone, but no. It is somewhere between mission impossible and extremely frustrating just to get the service topped up. The service that they don't provide 60% of the time. So I just couldn't do it anymore. I mean, I already had three full-time jobs. I don't need another part-time job working for TelCel, trying to figure out how I can give them money. I mean, can you see, like this? Is it just me? I don't know. Well, so I just quit topping up. I was like, well, that was a waste of money and time. I can't top up, so fuck it, screw it. I'll just leave. And I think I left the router in the house with the tenants, and I said good luck trying to get this topped up, and if you the dog just pulled up here. If you can, good luck, and if you can't, that's fine too. I'm done with it. I just can't take it anymore. It's too frustrating. And wouldn't you know it, TelCel started blowing up my phone with multiple violent acts of trespass into my space and my time and my ears, with my phone ringing literally every 5 minutes all damn day long, day and night. And should you dare pick it up, it's some AI bot telling you that you need to top up your service. Click. So I just started rejecting phone calls, and I should take screenshots for posterity's sake. I have screenshot after screenshot after screenshot of hundreds of phone numbers that I had to block. I even had to go in and block the number star and the prefix 967 dot star. Like any number with this sequence of numbers in it, I had to block. And even then the numbers kept coming. Oh, I mean, the switched numbers kept generating on a computer. They're not real numbers. This isn't a real person calling me. This is an AI bot using a switched voice over IP network. Holy shit. Now here goes something on my phone. I gotta press a button to make that go away. I hope we're still rolling. I don't know if I just turned the video off. No, okay. Where was I? Pressing. Oh yeah, I had to block all these numbers. And that was a full-time job. That was like literally every 5 minutes I had to pick up the phone and just hit reject. I had to put I put my entire line on, what's that called? Do not disturb. Do not disturb. That means I couldn't accept any phone calls from anyone or anything. Even the ones I wanted to accept phone calls from, I couldn't, because it was on a do not disturb. And even then the switched robots found a way around the do not disturb on my phone, and none of my friends and stuff could call me, but this tyrannical TelCel robot, just nightmare from hell, was allowed to continue despite like cutting me off of even my cell phone service, right? I mean, whew. I'm just saying, I know it's all automated, people. I know it's all artificial intelligence, but there's people that owns this company, and like, I'm going to tell you right now, there is a part of me, I am not going to deny it, that if you put me in the room with them, it would require a lot of, I don't know, effort on my part not to put my hands around their throat and just strangle them and get them off the planet, because it's just, that's how I feel about it. Like, just had to get that off my chest. Now, after 2.5, 3 months of nonstop blowing up my phone all day long, all night long with phone calls, after being denied the service, after not being allowed or told or even given the opportunity to top up a service that I don't get, now they start sending text messages on WhatsApp, right? They're sending text messages on WhatsApp, and I'm not kidding you. I will translate it for you. It's in Spanish. It says there's a Spanish word called jurídico, which, like, if you could translate that into English, it would be like the judge. or the office of the judge, or the municipality, or the other, aka government authority, who has the right to judge, right? A judge. The TelCel Judge has reviewed your account and determined that you are in default. We went to your house today to collect a bill of 559 pesos. Wherever they get, oh right, I was about to say wherever they get that from. It was 400 pesos to top up, and then 159 pesos, or practically half of the top up, in late fees and penalty and interest for a service contract that I do not have. I do not have any equipment that belongs to TelCel. I don't. It's just a service that I was subscribing to, and I never signed up for a minimum subscription service. It's just like my phone. It goes from month to month. But you see, they are sending me text messages from attorneys. Oh, remember my favorite little characters on the stage here, the ones with the LIC in front of their name. Oh my goodness. At real live business accounts that are tied to these twats with the LIC in front of their name. Like they're some kind of a law clerk. They basically had a very basic rudimentary, like maybe two, perhaps 3, as much as 4 years of university school. They're not a judge. But anyway, well, we just apply that license term across the field to mean everything, right? To mean the judge, the jury, the executioner. And really all they are is just a bunch of law clerks, like minimum wage law clerks. Sending me messages telling me he's going by my house to knock on my door and demand 559 pesos from me. And I got another message saying that they're going to go and attach a lien to my house. I might have to turn that off one more time. And if that goes off again, that means I need to go. Somebody's trying to call me. But they're trying to tell me, like, they're saying, like, I wrote them back, and I use a very, well, let's just say some not so nice words in Mexican, and I won't repeat them. But I basically said, you want to come on over to my house, son? Feel free. I'll be there waiting for you. Good luck getting out of there alive, or something to that effect. I forget what I said. But look at this. This is more violent trespass from TelCel. No wonder these people are such a fucking lunatic here. Look at this culture of violence and absolute tyranny. I mean, you can't even the service providers that you're giving your money to are literally just wow. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's like that everywhere. I don't know. Shit. The last time I had a cell phone service outside of Mexico was 5 years ago, and they shut me down too. I said, why'd you shut down my account? That was my phone number. I was topping up every month online. They shut down my online access, so I couldn't top up online. And I had to wire money to my friend in Ecuador every month so she could go into the store physically and top up with cash. And then they just quit letting me do anything because they said I had left the country. Gee, I didn't know I needed your permission to leave the country with my telephone. And my telephone number that I'm leasing from you. And I've never missed a payment. I've always topped up on time, right? There's no period where I went without service, so there's no reason to reassign my number or suspend my service or even my access to my account. You see where this is going, family? Looky here. And the more we get, dependent on these devices, the more tyrannical this will become. Because what can we do? That was the favorite phrase of the day in Belgium. It was one of the most tyrannical places I ever lived on the freaking planet. I mean, horrible, horrible tyranny there. Just, and the people were so beat down too. You know, they just, well, all that area had been balkanized in the First and Second World Wars, and even long before then. People were just super hella crazy traumatized, and what can I do, they would say. Well, I don't know, get some pitchforks and some Molotov cocktail. I don't know. Why do you put up with this? Well, the reason why is because it's not that it's not in the human spirit to fight back and stand up for oneself. I mean, that's basic animal behavior, right? But it's this learned helplessness, this that comes from the hopelessness of each time you try, you just get beat back down. And that's sort of, you know, if you want to explain it or rationalize it or whatever the case may be, play the devil's advocate between, you know, say Mexico and or any other country on the earth where this kind of TelCel tyranny is going on, and the United States, because the United States was and still is the last bastion. Like it was the one country on earth that was set up like for the purpose of the individual and not the state or the church or both, in the case of King James. And, you know, there's this fighting spirit there. Not so much as it was, you know, back in the day. Back in the day, there was like a proposed 1% tax on the tea that came over on the ships. A proposed 1% tax, sales tax or stamp tax they called it, which we would call sales tax today. A 1% tax on one item called tea. And then people just lost their minds. They started what's called the Revolutionary War, right? Look at today. In Mexico alone. And this is one of the, not like, it's not the worst, you know, like Belgium was the worst, but I'm sure there's others. I never really got involved in the markets and the economy and paid taxes and stuff like that. And in other countries so much as to recognize it and remember it and stuff, but or look at the States now. Look at the States now. Here comes an income tax. Starts out at a third of your income. And that's the starting out range. If you want to drop it any further than that, you better be prepared to be a tax expert. And you better be prepared to fill out each and every one of your tax forms every year and spend a minimum of 3 to 6 months filling out your tax forms, just so you can try to prevent, as you know, the as much theft as possible from the IRS. Then you get sales taxes at the store, and you get property taxes and taxes on the gas and excise taxes and estate taxes and this tax and that tax and the other tax and placas and license plates and registrations and permissions and permits and this and this and this. And by the time you throw inflation in there, if you really do the numbers, it's 250% or more of your purchasing power, of your capital that's wiped out. Look at here, family. Ain't nothing gonna change. Ain't nothing gonna change till we start considering some things. I mean, because like if we don't even think outside the box, like I talk to people here that, oh, that's just the way it is, Daddy. No, that's just the way it is for the last 514 years. But you had a life before the conquistadors. It wasn't that long ago. Try to, like, just a little bit, like, just, oh, yeah, that's just stupid. Just use 5-year-old before the child is programmed and and indoctrinated and propagandized and socially and otherwise indoctrinated into the public school systems and society writ large. Just ask a 5-year-old if it makes sense. This person's going to give you money and you're not going to give them a service. And then when they say, well, you're not going to give me a service, I'm just going to quit paying since I can't get the service and there's no way for me to even pay for a service that I even have 40% of the time. You make it impossible for me to pay. So obviously I can't pay. But that now you're going to come blowing up my phone. Oh, and the message goes, one of the other messages went on to say, oh, they're coming to my house. They're going to place a lien on my house. What was the other thing? Oh, they're going to put a black mark on my credit score so I won't be able to open a bank account or apply for a credit card or even get one of those department store cards. They'll use my cedula identification and they'll see TelCel's got me in there. You see, like, even in the States, like, at least back in my day, I don't know how it is now. It could be very similar. But back in the 80s and stuff, I could go to the gas station with no credit history whatsoever. I'm like 16, 17 years old and apply for a gas card, which means I can put my gas on a credit card and nothing else. Or maybe I can buy some things inside the gas station. I don't know. But, and then pay your bill off in full every month. And you do that for a year and boom. Now you're able to get a Visa card. And you do that, and now you're able to get an American Express. And you do that, and now you're able to get whatever other plastic I used to have in my wallet. But you see, and I'm not necessarily a fan of the digital currency and the credit cards and all this concept. I think I think credit is good if you use it wisely, and if you don't if you pay off your balances and don't pay your interest, pay interest and stuff like that. I think it can be a good way, to have a capital influx, and then pay it off 30 days later or whatever. I don't know. So I'm not against the idea of credit cards and stuff like that, but I'm going to do a separate video on this too. I'm going to talk about credit cards and how they used to work and the concept behind it, and also go into more of this tyranny that I'm seeing across the board as everything's being outsourced to artificial intelligence, and the whole wide world and World Wide Web is being run by, artificial intelligence. Because there's certainly nothing holistic or human about that intelligence, is it? Anyway, like, if it doesn't pass the 5-year-old logic, then I can't even look at it. Anyway, that's my rant, or postscript, my postscript to the TelCel Tyrannical Telecommunications total nut job. Anyway, won't be around much longer, this, so I'm just ranting in the meanwhile. Hope you found it entertaining. And until we speak again, I'll see you in the dream world. Ciao for now.